It doesn't start with a catastrophe. It starts small, always small. A ping on your phone before your feet touch the floor. A headline that feels like a punch before your first sip of coffee. A reel, a tweet, a comment that hooks you, hijacks your breath for half a second. Nothing dramatic, just intrusive. And you move on, or at least you think you do. You brush your teeth with one hand and scroll with the other. The day hasn't started and already you're reacting. Your nervous system, awake before your thoughts are. We don't live in a quiet world. We live in a world that shouts. It screams in capital letters. It screams in algorithms trained to trigger you. It screams through curated crises and curated lives and curated outrage, packaged to look like urgency, but engineered to hijack your peace. It screams through notifications, through breaking news, through the relentless acceleration of everything. And you try to stay afloat. You tell yourself you're staying informed, but what you're really doing is bracing. You brace in your shoulders, in your breath. In that tight spot under your collarbone that never fully relaxes. You call it stress. You call it modern life. You call it just how it is. But you know it's more than that. It's the quiet panic of being unable to locate yourself in a world that constantly demands a reaction. It's the sense that if you unplug, you'll fall behind. That stillness equals irrelevance. That if you're not reacting, not engaging, not doing something, you're somehow betraying the moment. But maybe that's the trap. Because this noise, this endless clamor, it doesn't just live out there, in your screen, in the news, in the crowd. It moves in. It settles in your chest. It colonizes your breath. Until calm doesn't just feel rare. It feels wrong, suspicious. Like a luxury you can't afford, or worse, a weakness. And so, you armor up. You scroll, not because it helps, but because silence feels dangerous now. You stay online because being unreachable feels like death. You check the news again, and again, and again, just in case something changed. But deep down, something else is happening. Your capacity to pause is shrinking. Your ability to feel without reacting is thinning. Your nervous system is living in a state of permanent readiness, like an animal in a forest full of invisible predators. And here's the paradox. You're not wrong to be alert. There is pain. There is injustice. There is collapse. You're not imagining it. You're feeling it in your bones, in your skin, in your breath. But the question isn't whether the world is loud. It is. The question is, can you hear yourself above the noise? Because somewhere underneath the static, beneath the headlines and the heartbreak, there is another frequency. A slower one, a deeper one. One that doesn't scream. It hums. It whispers. It waits. But to tune into it, you need to stop dancing to the rhythm of emergency. You need to reclaim your right to slow down in a world obsessed with acceleration. You need to remember that your nervous system is not a battleground. That calm is not a betrayal of reality. It's a way to stay sane within it. This is not a video about escapism. We're not here to build a cabin in the woods and pretend the world doesn't exist. We're here to ask something harder. Can you stay present without panicking? Can you stay open without crumbling? Can you feel everything and still come home to yourself? Because true calm is not passive. It's not numb. It's not a spa treatment or a self-care day or a scented candle. It's the discipline of rootedness. It's the muscle you build when you choose not to flinch. In a screaming world, calm is resistance. It's clarity. It's the refusal to outsource your sense of self to the next notification. And let's be honest, calm is hard. It's not natural anymore. Not when everything is built to overstimulate you. Not when the economy runs on your attention. Not when rage is monetized and anxiety is algorithmic. But that's exactly why it matters. Because every time you return to yourself, every time you exhale before reacting, every time you soften when the world hardens, you carve out space. Space to think, to feel, to choose. So today, we'll go there. We'll walk through the noise. We'll look at the mechanics of overstimulation, the psychology of nervous system hijacking, the philosophical cost of distraction. We'll talk about calm, not as a mood, but as a practice. Not as an escape, but as an embodied form of wisdom. Not forever, just long enough to remember how quiet your own truth sounds. Your body is not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's responding to the signals you give it. Only those signals were meant to be rare, not constant. A branch cracks in the forest. Your heart jumps. Your breath shallows. Your muscles tense. You become silent, alert, tuned in. Your body does not ask, is this worth reacting to? It just reacts. Because 10,000 years ago, missing that crack might have meant death. But today, the branch keeps cracking endlessly. Only now, it's not a twig, it's a tweet. Not a predator, it's a notification. Not a real threat, just content. And yet, your nervous system doesn't know the difference. It sees a face in crisis on your screen and pumps adrenaline. It reads a headline in bold red font and triggers cortisol. It sees someone living better, faster, happier than you, and floods your bloodstream with the ancient chemicals of inadequacy. And you wonder why you can't calm down. You wonder why your breath stays high and your shoulders stay tight and your stomach rarely knows what it's like to fully unclench. It's not because you're weak. It's because you are biologically ancient in a world that's technologically unhinged. And the first lie they sell you, the subtle one, is that this state is normal, that your baseline should be a hum of low-grade anxiety, that if you don't feel slightly overwhelmed, you're probably not paying enough attention. That calm is apathy. That slowing down is selfish. That rest is laziness. But the truth is, your body remembers something older. It remembers how to be still, how to listen without reacting, how to move from center instead of from reflex. We've just forgotten. Not because we're incapable, but because we're overstimulated to the point of disorientation. Think about it. In a single scroll, you move from war to wedding, from tragedy to thirst trap, from political meltdown to a cat falling off a table. Your heart, your empathy, your sense of proportion, all scrambled into confusion, and confusion is loud. The Stoics knew this. Long before smartphones, long before social media, Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, sat in the center of an empire on fire and still wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul, not in his armies, in his soul." He knew calm isn't where you are, it's how you meet the moment. But that kind of calm, the real kind, doesn't come naturally anymore. Because today, you don't need to go find the fire. The fire finds you. It lights up in your pocket at 2 a.m. It interrupts your meals. It yells at you between songs. It floods your senses with things you didn't ask for, didn't need, didn't choose. And each time you open the gate, your nervous system pays the bill. Tiny tolls, one breath at a time. And then one day, you wake up and realize you haven't had a full breath in weeks. You haven't sat in silence without twitching toward your phone. You haven't listened to someone speak without checking who just texted. You haven't just been without reacting, performing, multitasking. You've lost something, not permanently, but profoundly. The Buddhists call it monkey mind, a mind that jumps from thought to thought, sensation to sensation, unable to rest. And the first step to calming it is noticing it, not fighting, not silencing, witnessing. Because what's louder than noise is your resistance to it. The more you try to escape stimulation by stimulating yourself more, Another scroll, another video, another dopamine drip. The more entangled you become, you don't quiet the noise, you feed it. And here's where the spiral begins. You start confusing overstimulation with awareness. You think, if I'm plugged in, I'm present. But presence isn't plugging in. It's unplugging with intention. The real threat to calm isn't information. It's involuntary reaction. It's never giving your system time to reset, never allowing your breath to settle, never letting your mind return to its original rhythm. One not dictated by timelines or trends, but by attention, real and undivided. You think you're tracking the world, but what you're really doing is tracking 1,000 panic echoes. Not listening, just absorbing noise. And when the noise is all you know, silence becomes suspicious. Stillness becomes unbearable. But stillness is where you meet yourself. It's where clarity grows. It's where your nervous system exhales and your soul whispers finally. Calm has a reputation problem. People think it's soft, passive, detached, like something you do when you've given up on changing the world, like a retreat, or worse, a luxury. But that's a lie sold by a culture addicted to noise. Because real calm isn't the absence of pressure, it's what emerges when pressure no longer owns you. It's not that you don't feel the tension, the speed, the chaos. It's that you refuse to let it shape your center. There's a reason monks look like rebels and not cowards. There's a reason Gandhi could disarm empires with silence. There's a reason Viktor Frankl in the middle of the Holocaust wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." That choice of posture, of presence, of internal space is the beginning of calm. And no, calm doesn't mean disconnection. It means choosing what deserves your energy. Because in a world where everyone is yelling, where everything is urgent, where every minor event is dressed up as a catastrophe, the most radical act is not to yell back, it's to remain rooted. You've seen it. You're in a conversation. Someone's voice rises. They need you to react, to mirror, to match, because escalation feeds escalation. But if you pause, if you breathe instead of bite, something short circuits. You become unpredictable, uncontrollable. You break the rhythm of reactivity. This is calm, not as passivity, but as pattern breaking. In Taoist thought, there's the image of water, flexible, yielding, and yet nothing is stronger. Laozi writes in the Tao Te Ching, "Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it." Water doesn't resist by tensing. It resists by flowing around. It carves canyons, not by force, but by persistence. This is the essence of true calm, not clenched resistance, but spacious refusal. Not disengagement, but a deeper kind of engagement, one that isn't dictated by the emotional temperature of others. Because here's the secret, when you're calm, you choose your response. When you're not, the world chooses for you. How many times have you said something you didn't mean just because you felt pressured to say something? How many times have you reacted not because you wanted to, but because silence made you feel weak? This world teaches us that urgency is virtue, that fast decisions equal smart ones, that noise equals relevance. But that's backwards. Urgency can be manipulation. Speed can be a smokescreen. And noise is often just insecurity, amplified. Think of the last time you saw someone truly grounded. They weren't rushing to speak. They weren't asserting dominance with volume. They weren't racing to win a point. They were listening, feeling, holding the space open, even when everyone else tried to fill it. That's not weakness. That's power, tuned to another frequency. But here's the paradox. Calm feels like weakness at first, because your nervous system is trained for urgency. Your culture rewards noise. You've been conditioned to believe that silence is awkward, That slowness is inefficiency. That stillness is stagnation. But let's be clear, calm isn't stagnation. It's depth. It's the lake that holds the mountain's reflection. The breath you find after the crying stops. The voice that rises only when it has something worth saying. And it takes practice, because everything is designed to rip it from you. Apps vibrate. News flares. People poke and prod and provoke. And every time you react from fear, from ego, from the need to defend or perform, you lose a little of that calm. And here's the real danger. The more often you let others decide your emotional rhythm, the harder it becomes to hear your own. You start dancing to someone else's beat. Fast, frantic, unsustainable. And one day, you can't even remember what your stillness sounded like. Calm, then, is a practice of remembering, of reclaiming, of saying, I do not have to react just because you want me to. It's knowing that you can hear a scream and still breathe, that you can witness chaos without becoming it, that you can pause, and in that pause, find not indecision, but wisdom. So, no, calm is not escape. It's not detachment. It's not turning your back on the world. It's the opposite. It's facing the world, not with clenched fists, but with an open palm. And that, in a screaming world, is a revolution. We love the idea of balance. It sounds enlightened, mature, peaceful. But more often than not, the way we talk about balance is a fantasy, a marketing slogan painted over burnout. The word shows up when people are already drowning. I just need more balance in my life. It's aspirational, but vague. What does balance even look like in a world where your attention is pulled in 20 directions before breakfast? Where every tab screams urgency, every notification expects an answer, every relationship demands presence. The problem is that balance is framed like a scale. Work here, rest there. Input equals output, as if life were a spreadsheet. But real life doesn't happen in equilibrium. It moves, it pulses, it floods and retreats. And so, chasing balance becomes its own form of stress. Another thing to measure, another standard to fail. You try to do everything right. You block your calendar. You set timers, color code your life, download apps to center yourself. But inside, you still feel fragmented, still feel like something is off. Because balance, as we've been taught, is external. It's about appearances. It's a performance of calm, not the real thing. And real calm doesn't come from balancing things outside of you. It comes from centering the things inside you. The Stoics understood this. They didn't talk about balance as we do now. They talked about inner coherence, aligning your thoughts, your actions, your principles. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds himself not to be a twig blown about by every wind. He says, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the difference. Balance tries to manage everything. Centering decides what truly matters and lets the rest move around it. It's like being the eye of a storm. The world still whirls. People still disappoint you. Plans still collapse. The noise doesn't stop, but something in you does not move. Centering means building from that still point, a place beneath your roles, your schedules, your obligations. A place that isn't trying to impress or fix or win, just be. But here's the hard part. You can't reach that center through effort alone. You have to feel your way to it. It begins with noticing when you're off. Noticing when your words come too fast, your chest tightens, your thoughts race. It's not a sign of failure, it's a signal. Your center is out of reach. And instead of pushing through, instead of powering on, you pause. You breathe, not to calm down, but to come back. To remember that you are not the thing you're reacting to. That before this moment, before the news, the comment, the mistake, you were whole. And you still are. Centering isn't flashy. It won't make headlines. You won't get applause for it. But you'll notice it in the quiet, in how your body feels when you're not performing, in how your voice sounds when you're not proving something, in how you listen without planning your reply. You'll find it when you walk slower, eat slower, breathe deeper. You'll find it in small rituals, lighting a candle, taking a walk without your phone, writing a sentence, not a tweet. Not because you have to, but because you want to remember who you are without the noise. And here's the real power. When you're centered, you can act clearly, not react habitually. You say no without guilt. You say yes without overexposing. You stop managing your life like a fragile balancing act and start living it like a deliberate movement, because the world will never stop demanding. It will never hand you time or peace or space, but you can claim it. Not through control, not through perfection, but through presence. Presence that says, I know who I am beneath the chaos. I know where my center lives, even when I lose it, and I will return to it again and again and again. That's not balance. That's home. Being centered is a refuge, but it can also be a trap. It's tempting, once you find your still point, to build walls around it, to shelter yourself from the world's noise and chaos, to become so guarded that nothing disturbs your calm. Not criticism, not conflict, not discomfort. But true calm is not numbness. It's not disconnection. It's not shutting down the world so you don't have to feel its weight. True calm is an act of courage. The courage to stay open. Open to pain. Open to uncertainty. Open to the raw edges of experience that threaten to unsettle you. Because life will always come with storms, loss, betrayal, fear, doubt. No amount of centering or breathing exercises will erase that. But when you're open, you meet those storms differently. You don't run. You don't build barricades. You face them. You lean into the discomfort. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith. Not faith in a religious sense only, but a leap into the unknown, into the messiness of existence, where there are no guarantees, only trust in yourself to bear whatever comes. Kierkegaard wrote about despair, that sickness unto death, the deep human fear of being lost in isolation, disconnected from meaning and from others. But he also believed that confronting despair, choosing to remain open to it rather than fleeing, is how we become truly free. Freedom here is not a comfortable escape. It's a fierce embrace of the whole of life, the beautiful and the brutal, the joyful and the tragic. This openness demands vulnerability, that shaky, trembling place inside us we try to hide from the world. Yet vulnerability is not weakness. It's the birthplace of connection, creativity, and growth. When you stay open in the face of chaos, you discover something paradoxical. The more you embrace uncertainty, the more you cultivate resilience. The more you accept discomfort, the more you find peace. It's like a muscle you have to train, slowly and patiently. And the practice of staying open, even when your instincts scream to close up, is one of the deepest acts of calm you can offer yourself. Because a closed heart breeds fear and rigidity. A closed mind breeds confusion and anxiety. But an open heart, it's like a river carving its path through rock. Soft but unstoppable, persistent and alive. So, in this world that screams, where every moment threatens to overwhelm you, remember this: calm is not hiding from the noise. Calm is holding your ground in the middle of it. Calm is the brave choice to keep your heart and mind open to uncertainty, to pain, to life itself. And in that openness, you become a quiet force, a presence that can weather any storm. Hey, thanks for sticking with me through all that. I know it's not always easy to sit with these ideas, the chaos, the calm, the courage it takes. but maybe that's exactly why it's worth it. If something here resonated or even challenged you, drop a comment. Let's talk it out, share stories, or just vent. And hey, if you like this vibe, hit that like button, share it with someone who might need a little calm today. Remember, it's not about having it all figured out. It's about the small steps we take every day toward being more present, more open, more alive. So, yeah, let's think together. Not forever, but just long enough to build something real.